What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? You are on the sidelines with the Sideline guys for a very special MMA edition of the show. Back again, once again, with my guy, someone that I clearly cannot do this show without, right? I clearly cannot live without, and someone that I am very excited to have back, my brother in Negrongness, Sean Negron. How's it going, man?
It's going well. You know what? It's good to be back. It's definitely been a difficult last 2 or 3 weeks, but I appreciate your patience, the fans' patience, and there's no way I was missing this card. This is probably top one, top two card of the year. This is going to be a hell of a night, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, what a way to come back. We're hopping off of Tommy John straight into the fucking World Series, man. This is one hell of a card. And once again, just really glad and thankful to have you back. But we got a lot of recapping to do, god damn it. It's been a while since you've seen us. And a big thing on this show is making sure that you guys know how our picks have been going, right? We make our picks every week, so we gotta be accountable, right? So right as of now, our totals for our head to head picks are as follows. I'm sitting at 54 wins, 29 losses, and two no contests, while Sean is sitting at 53 wins, 30 losses, and two no contests. So just one game separating us apart. Last week was a hell of a week for both of us. Sean did very well going 8-3, but I did even better. God damn it, going 10-1, matching a total that is very hard to find, right? We've only come close, each of us, to being undefeated once, and yours had more fights. So as of right now, I think it's still pretty clear you still are the superior picker when it comes to head to head. But god damn it, Dynasty is getting interesting, all right? 2024 has not been my year as of yet, but as of last week, we're almost tied up, man. The only thing separating us is a little bit of bad luck on my part, of course. I'm
And me
sitting
too.
at, I mean, no contest though. I have two of them, and it's only March. Um, that's bad. But I'm sitting at 20 wins, 14 losses, and two no contests, which leaves me at a 55 and a half basically win percentage, while Sean is at 20 wins, 14 losses, and one no contest, leaves you with a much nicer number, 57.14%. So you are in the lead for the year. But as far as our total lifetime dynasty standings, as of now, I am on top. I reign supreme with 67 wins, 36 losses. We need to get a graphic for this next week. I'll remember. Two ties and three no contests, which leaves me with a 62% win percentage all time, which is phenomenal if you ask me. Sean is just fucking sandbagging behind me with 66 wins, but 44 losses and one draw, two no contests, leaving him at a total of 58.41%. This is a lot of fucking numbers, okay? And I promise next week we're gonna have some graphics. But what is your reaction? How are we feeling right now at the quarter mark of the year?
Well, I would just like to say that I should have went 9-2 last week, but that's what happens when you do the picks while in the car doing some personal stuff. I picked Petrino in my dynasty, and then somehow I wrote Pedro in the pickums because I meant to write Petrino, but I guess my brain wasn't thinking straight, and that cost me. So that hurt. Besides that, I'm not too worried. Like I said in previous episodes, I was letting you breathe for the first couple months. You have your moment. Look at you now. You're smiling ear to ear. You can't help yourself. So this is what I come for. This is what I do. Pause. This is what I do. Okay, because I make you all excited. Pause again, and then and then I just sweep and take it all away when it comes to the end of the year. All right. So enjoy this because it's gonna hurt so much more later. And I think I enjoy people's pain because when it comes down to it, I'm gonna be waiting at the end of the year and you're gonna be out there going, like, what the hell happened? And I'm gonna be the one smiling ear to ear. So this is what I live for.
Man, clearly this is what you live for. God damn it. I don't even know how to continue. Holy shit. Maybe one day I will be able to muster the confidence. But with all that being said, it feels good to come off of a good week, but god damn it, I don't know how this week is going to go. We've got a hell of a stacked lineup ahead of us for 299 and a lot of picks for us to make, right? So it's only right that we get it started from the bottom up. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, why don't you take a second to make sure you're following the brand at OTS Media Co. on all social media platforms, OTS Media on YouTube, and also make sure that you check out my socials at Negron MMA as well as TikTok and Twitter. My English. Look, I'm trying to roll it off the tongue and I'm just skipping parts of my fucking thing. Sean, where can the people find you?
Ooh, it's been a while since I've done this. You can find me on Twitter at SeanEgron26, or if you want to get started in the sports writing industry, you could do at BS Reports or bsreports.org, and you could shoot me an email there, and I will help you get started.
You heard the man. God damn it. At this point, the bit has ended for whatever reason. But I'm just a shit human being.
No.
So I'm
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm an asshole, and I will fully admit it. Like
Okay, here we go.
at this point, I deserve death. I deserve death by 1,000 cuts. This is bad, and I just continue to make the show look bad on March 2024. I'm so sorry, but we'll leave it at that. I'm not even gonna give you a second to fucking talk. Our first fight of the night, we've got Joanne Wood going up against Marina Moroz. I'm going to switch things up. I'm throwing right to you for the women's card fight kicking off the card. Pretty wide odds, right? Why are we minus? Why are we two minuses here? Was it supposed to be plus 190 for Joanne Wood?
It is.
Okay,
That's your fault.
I apologize. Yeah, it is definitely my fault. How you feeling about this matchup at 125?
Oh, honestly, I feel like the odds could be a little bigger here. But you know what? It honestly, I went into this morning going, you know what? I think this is a time when Moroz bounces back. This is her time here. You know, she's had a difficult ride, especially trying to get fights. You know, it's been a while since she's last won. I think we're going past 2 years now, and I know people in the Twitter comment section of MMA world love to say that it's because once she started her side business of OnlyFans that it's kind of went the other way for her, and so far it's looked that way. You know, I'm not trying to make it personal, but you know what? It makes me think I'm going to go an underdog early here. And I'm taking
The
Joanne Wood.
OnlyFans hedge?
Yep.
Wow.
I believe in it. And I think this is Joanne Wood's fight. I'm going with JoJo here. Give me JoJo. I know what? Third round knockout. There you go.
Okay. Wow. Fucking write it in, ladies and gentlemen. The OnlyFans fade. Like I was not ready for the OnlyFans fade.
I'm sorry.
I'm stunned. I don't even know how to proceed. I don't know where to start. There's so much of my analysis for this fight you've already taken off the board. So I don't know what to say. No, all jokes aside though, it's pretty funny and ironic that you're also going with Joanne Wood because I'm picking Joanne Wood here too. I think both of these ladies sort of walk into range. But I think Joanne Wood does a little bit of a better job disguising her entries. I think Marina Moroz gets caught really trying to fake activity and then just constantly, whenever she decides she's going to step in, it looks exactly the same and it's not different. Well, it is way different than that activity that she throws out there when she's fainting. So in multiple fights, I've seen her really get caught a lot early coming in. And for me, it just came down to sort of durability. I know Joanne Wood is older in her career. But I still think she is the more durable fighter between the two of them. And I think just look out for hooks in this fight. I feel like if one of these ladies could get a straight punch landing, god damn it, it might finish the fucking fight. But both of these ladies do like the short hooking shots on the inside. So I really expect this to be kind of like a Beyblade situation, right? Where both of them are trying to crash into range at different points, and then they end up in the clinch, and it gets all messy, like a Joanne Wood fight does. God damn it! And I think if she could keep it away from those danger zones on the mat, I think she should have an easy job on the feet to get the win here. So pretty funny that we're both going the same way early. I hate when I pick a dog and you do too, because then it's like, damn, I shouldn't have even let the nuts hang at all. But god damn it, we're throwing it in the dock. And now we move on to CJ Vergara going up against Asu Almabayev. Obviously, I think the Twitter sphere and everyone out there that's interested in cap and fights are pretty high on Asu. I am too. I really enjoyed his run in Brave. Um, I'm a fan of CJ Vergara, right? So I think my analysis here is going to be tainted. No matter how I try to cut and slice this, I think this is a dangerous fight for both these guys. I've seen Ambayev get touched up, especially later on in fights, and I feel like that can be an issue against someone like Vergara, who is in it no matter what, has the real kind of durable cardio that is very scary for any sort of newcomer to the UFC to have to deal with, especially with a crowd like this that's going to be going nuts. So this is closer than the odds suggest, in my opinion, but I'm definitely going to be going with Asu Almabayev.
I'm picking Asu here, but I'm having trouble picking this one because I believe in Vergara and the longevity he's had in the UFC and in Fury. Because I've always believed that the time that you have in UFC is what helps you win fights because you will see everything, the best of the best at every level, and every level of mixed martial arts. And while I know Asu is this like standout guy, he's coming in. I think this is his second fight in the UFC here. I think this is a lot closer. I think Asu has more of a higher ceiling, but I can absolutely see a situation where Vergara, puts him to sleep. I really can. But if I want to make the safe bet here, I'm gonna take Asu. But I think this will be one of like the not fight of the nights or performance of the nights, but one of those really great fights that you remember. And I think this is gonna go to decision. I think this could even go split because I think this, minus 500 odds is kind of crazy because I think Vergara is a much tougher fighter than that. His striking is incredible, and I'm a big fan of when he takes to the ground. He's got some pretty nasty arm bars. So this is something where if Asu gets taken to the ground, this might be a completely different story. But I have to think that Asu gets the job done, and that's why I'm picking him.
I love it. I love it. Next up, Robelis de España going up against Josh Parisian. God damn it. That was fucking smooth, man. Holy shit. Sean, we got some heavyweights, man. How you feeling?
I think everyone's feeling. This is probably one of the people's most excited fight because of how much Twitter and the people have hyped this one up, and maybe it's so hyped up that it's the odds of it are this way. I am not really keen on picking guys who have such uh a small level of fighting in them. This is only what his fifth career MMA fight, but it's you can't take away the fact that he's finished two guys in 7 seconds combined and three guys in I think 19 seconds combined. It's pretty crazy, and every single finish has been in the first round. He fought three times last year, all in wins, all in a 3 month span. Now he's part of the UFC. This is a hype train here, and obviously you got Sean O'Malley at the top of the card. He's probably one of the biggest hype trains there is when it comes to the UFC. This is a perfect place to put him in Miami. I think he gets the job done via knockout. I think the UFC made this fight. I'm not saying Josh isn't, a killer because he is. He's had a rough couple of fights, and I still think that Boudet fight was pretty weak of his because I didn't I thought he would be better against Boudet, but I think this is a fight made for Robellis to just show that he not only did he do it in Fury, he could do this in the UFC too. Obviously, I don't think this is going to be record breaking, Masvidal time in 3 seconds, 6 seconds, 9 seconds. I think this could potentially go into the first or second round, but I think this is a fight for Robellis to win via crazy power. I'm going to go with right hook 3 minutes into the first round.
This guy's calling the fucking second marker of the finish. Shonstress. God damn it. I wasn't ready for this. Holy shit. Yeah, this fight is going to be great. I'm really excited about him making his debut. Shout out to Josh Parisian. I'm a fan of his, even though there's probably not many of us. But I remember that spinning back fist that he landed in the Contender Series that got him to the dance. God damn it. There are flashes of excellence and then many, many, many minutes of mediocrity. And unfortunately, the level of athlete here is what is really shocking to me in this matchup. I mean, this guy made Jamal Pogues look like fucking Sonic out there, and he's about to fight someone that is just fucking diced up to the socks and clearly knows what he's doing when it comes to trying to hurt people with the limbs, right? So honestly, I'll be surprised if this one makes it out of the first round. I think if Robellis loses here, it's not a shameful thing. Like obviously, Josh Parisian needs to get him down, get some top control. The path is very clear, but it will be really bad in my opinion if you lose this matchup. Like you need with all the hype, you really need to come through here, which is actually pretty surprising when you look at the odds, right? Like I feel like I almost want to parlay Robellis in some way just because he's still not as high as I thought he would be. But if you want to bet Josh Parisian, like I feel like you wait, like plus 280, in my opinion, isn't good enough of a price point to justify that slot. But yeah, Robellis feels like a lock here for sure. He's just so much faster on the feet, and that's been a problem for Josh Parisian his last 2 fights that he lost. So give me Mr. Robellis. Next up, we got Felipe Lins going up against Jan Cutelaba. Felipe Lins still acclimating to this new weight class at 205. And of course, Mr. Jan's ever the entertaining fighter, to say the least, comes at minus 130. Looking at Cutelaba as a favorite always feels a little strange, right? But Lins at plus 115 here. This one was a little tough for me too. I feel like the grappling upside belongs to Cutelaba, obviously training with those guys in Vegas. I'd love to sing their praise every time I get a chance. Shout out to Extreme Couture. I like Lins's game. I just feel like a little too tentative, and against someone that is so much of a lightning rod and willing to make things happen, I just feel like he's going to be steps behind in this fight. If he could get his hands going early, though, I feel like that's his path to victory for sure. Keeping as far away from the grappling as possible, not just because I think he's going to be positionally advantaged there, but also I feel like it really taxes his cardio in a way that you don't want to see going down a weight class. And I think Cutelaba, if he has anything, it's the willingness to put a fucking hurting on you for 3 rounds. And I am gonna bet on that. So give me Jan Cutelaba. How you feeling, Sean?
Yeah, you kind of nailed it for me, Cutelaba. I think Cutelaba is very aggressive in fights, especially early. And with Lins, I feel like he's more of technical, very laid back, kind of just feeling it out, feeling the process here. And I feel like Cutelaba can be a little overwhelming for fighters with that sort of style. And I think Cutelaba will push a lot of pressure within those first 3 to 4 minutes. And I could see a situation where Cutelaba might even be able to take him out early because of that, because it could become so overwhelming, let's just say. And I feel like Cutelaba is one of those fighters who works with the crowd. He's a guy you want on a crowd fight because he works really well when I think the MMA fans like him and know his name because of that fact, where he's one of those fighters that always going to put on a show. Like he's one of those underrated names Like you heard of him, but you don't even remember his last fight. But you know that he puts damage, and he's such a well-rounded fighter that I think he'll just be honestly way too much for wins by middle second round. So I don't really see it going to a finish. I see Cutelaba getting a nice TKO finish.
I love it. You're bringing the X factors in for me, Sean, and the lobs that you're doing in the process feel amazing. So keep throwing them down. Next up, we've got Michel Pereira, the first returning Dynasty fighter representing my team, going up against Michal Oleksiejczuk, one of my favorite fighters on the roster. God damn it, which explains why I'm able to pronounce his name. God damn it, Sean, it's your turn. Why don't you tell me how you're feeling about the battle? Wait. No. The marauding of the Michaels.
All right. Honestly, um, I'm taking Pereira here because I feel like this is Pereira's weight class. I think this is I just think he works really well here. He's got incredibly dangerous power, even for this weight class. And I thought that was going to be an issue in the last fight, which is why I didn't choose him in the last fight, because I thought maybe he was just not going to be, in his old weight class, he was a big guy for that weight class. And even in this weight class, like he put on so much more muscle mass, he even looks like a pretty big guy in this weight class. And the other thing is that when I'm not even going to attempt to say that last name, but the other Michael, his last fight against Chidi, I think it was Chidi.
Amazing fight.
He took so much damage in that first round that I really thought like he was going to be taken out of there. But that's what makes me think a little differently because, Pereira's gas tank sort of slows down when he throws a lot after that first round. And especially he's another one, like I was saying before, where he's definitely a guy you want with the fans. He's gonna do some crazy shit every single fight. He does something crazy, but I think Pereira's scrappy enough and toughness alone can get the job done against someone like the other Michael. I'm not even gonna attempt the Polish dude, but I think if the Polish Michael, I'm telling him, I'm not saying his name, I'm just not doing it.
Bro,
If
it's not
he
even
can,
Michael though. Like it's Michal. Come on,
but it's Michael to
Michal.
me. It's Michael to me. Okay, but Mihal, fine. That actually works better. If Mihal can find a way to survive that first round, because I think Pereira will put on an onslaught, unless he doesn't. I think this is Pereira's fight to win. I think this is going to be close. This could obviously go to split, but I think Pereira will win the first two rounds, and then I think Mihal will win the third because I think Pereira will gas out. So depending on how it all plays out, I think Pereira squeaks out a split decision victory.
Whew. I love the analysis here, man. You're coming in hot, Sean, and just took the fucking graphic away from me. Hey, there we
I didn't
go.
even know
There
how I
we
did
go.
that.
Man, I'm pumped for this fight. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Pereira's upside, and I will always be a fucking defender of Mr. Michal Oleksiejczuk. God damn it. I've learned how to say his name for a fucking reason because this is literally one of my favorite fighters on the entire roster.
Say
The
one more
way
time.
the way he works. Michal Oleksiejczuk, baby. The
Nice.
reason why I'm such a fan of his is the way he works the body, the pressure he brings in every one of his fights. He's never out of a fight. Earlier on, there was some questionable physiques, right? You can look at these fights like, God damn, did you know what weight class you were showing up to fight at? But filling into things at this weight class, in my opinion, I think this is a very dangerous fight from Mr. Michel Pereira. I think hands down, though, this is Pereira's fight to lose. The only outcome I think I'll genuinely be surprised by is a Pereira KO. And I know a lot of people are like, huh? Because that's what he does, right? He goes out there and blitzes folks. Um, I think he's going to understand the assignment in this one, being he's much longer and rangier than Oleksiejczuk at his best. And most importantly, if you're letting Oleksiejczuk crash distance on you, you're having a bad time. And I think the more this fight takes place on that outside edge of the octagon, uh, the less of a chance Pereira has a chance to win. I think he really needs to keep him on the back foot and put himself in good positions in this fight. But I also think he's going to have to float around the cage a lot. in order to keep the rushes of Oleksiejczuk at bay. This is a tough fight, though. I'm gonna go with Pereira, just because I think his path to victory with that point style decision sort of vibe. I agree with you. I think that's the way it's ultimately going to end up playing out. But I'm definitely going to sneak be rooting for the Oleg Zaciuk knockout, just because, once again, I love his style. And I think it is the perfect test for someone like Pereira, who has a sort of reputation for either being the hammer, but not being such a good nail. You're gonna have to put yourself in a position to take some damage if you're gonna fight Oleg Zaciuk. So we're gonna get some questions answered. God damn it! So that's why I love this fight at middleweight. This fight, in my opinion, I don't know if you've ever been to Six Flags and rode on the Nitro. God damn it! But this is that spot, right, where you get all the way to the top of that first fucking big drop, and then you're just sitting there looking at the parking lot for 20 seconds. After this fight, everything's just straight downhill madness, which I'm can't wait to get to. Next up, we have another bantamweight banger. Pedro Munoz going up against Kyler Phillips. Um, there's so much I want to say about this fight, but I also feel like this fight is kind of simple to break down. I think Pedro Munoz, at this stage of his career, is pretty predictable. And I think that's the issue in this kind of matchup. I think Kyler Phillips can get into trouble if we end up in extended grappling exchanges. But I don't really see the way Munoz is able to force those kind of exchanges. Um, I like Kyler Phillips' game. I think he obviously comes from a very good camp training with the champ, right? But I just feel like there's a lot that still needs to be proven from him. So I love this test. I love the spot on the card. This is an amazing fight that's definitely being slept on. And I could see this potentially being a sort of fight of the night, crazy back and forth affair. But I'm leaning towards Kyler Phillips. I think he's a little more clean and technical on the feet, and I like his process there. Pedro Munoz can be a little hard headed, right? And just sort of plodding forward through a lot of things and ends up most of the time losing the calf kick war. And I think that's where Kyler Phillips could definitely set himself apart here. But always feels a little tough to root against Munoz. But I feel like at this stage of his career, it's just going to be really tough to pick him as a dog, especially. So give me Kyler Phillips.
Yeah, I think this is Kyler's to win. I think there in this card there are two gatekeepers on this card, and Pedro Munoz is one of them. I always feel that Pedro's time as a elite contender is over. Um, I know that sounds harsh, but I think Kyle Phillips is a name pretty slept on as well. I think people forget the fact that he has those really strong wins against Song Yadong and Barcelos. So that's nothing to take away from there. And I think Phillips's speed is so much better. It's so much faster than Pedro's that while Pedro is incredible and he's able to not be able to get knocked out and he's able to take it all the way to the decision. He's got some great cardio. He's able to land, but I think Phillips is just so much more dominant in this one that I honestly I think this is a great fight, but I really don't see this one going all the way. I can see this is kind of like a statement win for Phillips. Obviously, I didn't think that it would have to take till to beat Pedro to for people to like recognize who this guy really is. And I think only the elites really know who Kyle Phillips is. But I think after beating Pedro via TKO, like I predict, I think his name will start to become a household name. And I think this is going to be a pretty dominant win via striking. I think his speed and his dynamic of striking is going to be way too much for someone like Pedro at this late in his career. And I think this one's going to be a little one sided.
Yep. Tough one for sure for the Munoz fans out there, but we'll see how that one plays out. Next up, we're moving up to lightweight. We've got Mateusz Gamrot the gamer himself, going up against Rafael dos Anjos. This is one hell of a fight. And once again, we've got two representatives of each of our dynasty teams. Sean has Mateus Gamrot. And here's another fun fact as well. There are three Mateuses in the UFC, and Sean owns all three of them. Fucking hilarious when I realized that, looking back at the doc the other day. But I obviously am the owner of Rafael dos Anjos, as strange as that sounds. So we got a little head to head going on here. So I'm interested to see which way we're leaning as far as the actual picks. So, Sean, you're up first.
All right. So for me, I'm gonna take Gamrot here. I think the up and comer. He has a very well-rounded game. I like Dos Anjos too, though. I think Dos Anjos is scary, man. Every time I start to count him out, every single time I start to think that his time is up, no matter if it's at lightweight or welterweight, he somehow always comes in and makes like some statement and that he's here to stay. And he's like one of those silent shit talkers, and I love people like that, like where they just kind of do their own thing. But if Conor McGregor's name gets mentioned, all of a sudden he gets super angry, and then it's like it just like fuels the fire back into him for four more fights. I don't know what it is, but it's like one of those things where if I had to choose a fighter to be like that I didn't want to go against, Dos Anjos is guaranteed like in my top 5 because he's it does not matter how old he gets. He's still so incredible. But I just think that based off of what I believe in Gamrot, and I think Gamrot's on my dynasty, I think with, like I said, up and coming, super well-rounded game, the way he can use his knees, obviously before, I think he was the one who blew out Viziev's knees, coincidence. But I think the way he can use his dynamic striking here, I think it's just going to be a tiny bit too much, but this is going to be a fight of the night. I really feel it. And I can absolutely see this one going Dos Anjos' way, but this is one where I have to believe in my dynasty pick, and I think this is going to be one of those split decisions or even fight of the night unanimous decisions, but really close 29-28s. But I got to take Gamrot by unanimous. That's what I think.
Whew. Yeah, this is one hell of a fight, man. I cannot wait to see how this one plays out. I think both guys pose interesting and difficult challenges for each other. I feel like it ultimately really depends on which Rafael dos Anjos shows up at this stage of his career as well, especially making the cut down to lightweight. Um, I don't like that cut for him and what it's done for him in the past. And depending on what version shows up, we could definitely end up for a very interesting outcome here. I think at his powers, at his peak, I actually like Rafael dos Anjos in this matchup just because he's able to sort of stop a lot of the best things that Gamrot does. And then, of course, wear a trait of damage on him throughout with kicks, especially to the body, and not be fearful of the grappling in that way that a lot of his opponents do. But I just feel at this stage of their careers, Mateo should also be a step faster in the grappling, on top of being a little bit of a cleaner striker on the feet. Now, I think Dos Anjos can give him a lot of trouble with mixing in the Muay Thai, especially when he gets in the pocket in extended exchanges. His hooks are disgusting, and he's put a lot of people with combination strikes, which is some of the most beautiful parts of his game is just the way he brings things together in on the feet or in the grappling. So this is gonna be a tough fight, man. The odds don't really suggest that, but I'm gonna lean towards Gamrot. I feel like he even has some finishing upside if once again uh, a frail version of Dos Anjos shows up. But I really hope that this ends up being the fight we deserve, as far as both guys showing the best versions of themselves. Because if we do, I think no matter what, this price tag is gonna look a little jaw dropping, right? It's gonna be like, damn, how the hell did they have him at plus 330? Like, I honestly might feel like throwing $5 you never want to see again on Dos Anjos is a good idea. Much better idea than Parisian for sure. Next up, we move on to one of my like low key slept on fights of this card, but then when I was watching the tape, I was like, man, this is going to be a great fight. We've got Caitlin Sermonara, um, through the institution of marriage. She has changed her name, but the woman formerly known as Chukagian is going up against Macy, the future barber. Clearly, beauty school is in her future. God damn it, Sean. I'm gonna throw to you on this one. How are we feeling about the women's at 125?
Wow, back to back throwing to me. He's trying to mix it up just that quick. Oh, I'm gonna take it. No, I'm not taking it to you. That's what I'm getting here. So, all right, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. I was expecting to rebuttal what you were gonna say, but this is a fight where if this was a year ago, I might have picked Caitlin to win this one. But the fact that I haven't seen uh, Sermonara now, Caitlin Sermonara win in about 2 years, and that fight against I think it was Fiaho, right? Is that what it was?
Mhm.
Where she was above weight and still lost that fight handedly. It wasn't close. Like that, I'm starting to push back on the hype train of Caitlin here. While Macy, only 25, she's got this whole career ahead of hers. I know you're talking about beauty school, whatever the hell you just said, but MMA is her future right now. And I think this is another one. You could even arguably say this is a gatekeeper type of fight because I think this is Macy Barber's fight to lose. I think she's a better fighter now, even though I know Sermonara has I think when she's 35, 36, she's definitely been doing this a much longer time, and she's a much technical fighter here. But I do think Macy Barber, I don't want to say knocks her out because I think this is one of those where they're going to just exchange, and this is going to be one of those sleeping, what do you call them? Sleeper
The
banger
sleepy,
fights?
yeah, the sleepers, bro, the sleepers.
Sleepers. But I don't want to say that they're going to put you to sleep because people think that. But I think that this is going to be one of the top 3 fights of the whole card, if it can get to that range. And I think if it gets to the 3rd round, this is going to be a really, really good fight. I really do believe that. And I know everyone's going to say, like, what is wrong with you? You got 6 fights that are, possible main events. Just trust me. I think this fight's going to be very, very good. I think this is probably Sermonara's whole career on the line right here. She needs this win. But while Macy is, I don't even know, a 6-fight win streak, 7-fight win streak, she's only 25. We're seeing 2 different ends of a career here. So it's who's more desperate now, and I think this is Macy Barber's fight to lose. So I'm picking her to win it.
Whew. Yeah, 5 in a row is a beautiful place to be at, and her last loss being against the champ herself, Alexa Grasso. Man, I was shocked by what you just said. I'm gonna be honest. When no matter what happens here, win or loss for either of these women, I'm gonna clip this because either this is gonna be amazing or this is gonna be just absolutely fucking terrible. I think the main way we get the exciting fight that you are looking forward to is if Caitlin actually gives Macy Barber something to overcome. I feel like this fight, with all the changes that Macy has made and the way that she is clearly the much more powerful striker in this matchup, um, I think she should be able to set up low level kicks on to the body and to the legs, and then eventually start working her way up and landing combinations with the hands on the feet. I think Caitlin is obviously her game plan has been the same for many, many years, right? We're gonna circle, we're gonna scream, and we're gonna clinch when it doesn't work out, right? So I'm a fan of Caitlin's game. I think she's underrated, especially with what she's able to do defensively. Um, but I don't particularly like her instincts, despite being known as a defensive fighter. I feel like, especially as the exchanges are more drawn out, she ends up in trouble. And man, the biggest improvement, in my opinion, in Macy Barber's game is her ability to keep herself under her feet in combinations. Earlier on in her career, it felt like she was getting out ahead of her skis almost, and then she ended up in the clinch a lot. Now she's really reined that in and has been working a lot behind her hands and setting up beautiful kicks, as I mentioned earlier. So I think this fight is actually going to look a little better than this price tag suggests. I'm smelling a Macy Barber Despagne parlay, but give me Macy Barber, and I think it might be by knockout.
All right.
Next
Well,
up,
you know
oh,
what?
sorry about that.
Sorry, I just I agree with you, but I guess we'll see. I'm not gonna say anymore because I'm gonna either get clipped for having one of the best predictions of all time, or one of the absolute worst, and you'll just tear me apart for it. So we'll see. I'm excited for this fight. I am.
I just got to say, this sucks though, because we still have not found a fight that we disagree on.
I
Like,
thought.
how does this happen?
Oh, that's right. You didn't take. I took wood. You took wood too. You copied me.
Look, I copied you,
That's right.
guy. This guy. I was ready to make that pick before you even started. Next up,
Sure.
we've got the Razor himself, Curtis Blades, going up against Jailton, the jail motherfucking man, Almeida. This is another one of those fights where one of us is lucky enough to have Jailton Almeida on their team, and that guy is none other but yours truly. So I think I will take the lead on this wonderful heavyweight matchup. This is a tough fight, man, and I love to see the odds where they are. I think Curtis Blades definitely does not get the respect he deserves in this weight class. What he's able to do, high octane wrestling. His biggest kryptonite was Francis Ngannou, and let me double check that guy in here, bro. He's gone. Um, I love his upside in this division just because once again, he when he's able to put things together, can be a little fragile. But there's just a level of, and this is going to sound like a stupid way to look at it, but there's a level of anger behind and intent behind his punches, and especially his ground and pound, that really sets him apart on top of his athletic gifts. The dude's just a tank at this weight class. But he's going up against another fucking tank in Jailton Almeida, who I didn't think could wrestle someone like Derek Lewis for 5 rounds, and goddamn it, he made it look easy. Obviously, that fight was on short notice, if I'm not mistaken, because this fight was supposed to take place. Um, but I thought Jelton Almeida did a great job of showing his mettle, showing his grit, and being able to go 5 rounds with such a taxing game plan. Obviously, with some controversy, right? Mostly just because his inability to finish, got caught timid sometimes, being in full mount and not really going all out to finish the damn thing. But against a very dangerous opponent like Derek Lewis, you can't be too mad. I think on the feet, this fight is going to be very, very, very um, close in a way that not a lot of people suspect. I feel like everyone's just expecting Curtis to be able to really put hands on Jelton on the feet. But I think Jelton does a really good job of making you enter his range and sort of touching you with long distance shots, whether it be straights or uh, obviously that patented teep kick that he throws with that rear leg. I just think this fight, if it gets on the ground for either guy, it's going to be big problems. But I just like Curtis Blades' game being a little more dangerous, being a little more ground and pound focused than Jailton Almeida's. But unfortunately, I think I have to go against my own guy in Dynasty, and I got to pick Curtis Blades.
Wow. All right. Good. So I'll take Almeida, just so we're different. Um, this was a toss up for me. I was actually kind of waiting to see how you would choose this. Um, because this could go either way. I could see Curtis taking this to the ground in his wrestling and kind of just being more physically dominant, and kind of holding rounds. And I think this is I'm gonna predict between 2 to 3 times that the crowd boos over these 3 rounds. I don't know when it'll happen. Probably early second round because some reason MMA fans don't understand that it's not boxing. I don't know how that works, but MMA fans that go to arenas think they're at a boxing, but they know it's MMA. So they never like I don't know how that works in their brain. But this is one of those where it's definitely gonna be a lot on the ground. And yes, I think Almeida is very good at keeping people and fighters in their range. The Derrick Lewis fight, I really don't count, to be honest with you, because that was short notice. It was supposed to be this fight, and Derrick Lewis is one of the worst guys ever when it comes to when getting on the ground. He's not getting back up. Even though I know it's really funny how he says, like, I don't believe in all that. You just got to stand right up. I don't get it. Like, that's when you know, like, against someone like Almeida, like, you're in for a long night. And that's exactly what that was. Like, the crowd was booing there. And, you know, Derrick Lewis literally had no answer to getting up. He had no idea how to get up. It was one of those super lopsided fights. It wasn't, I don't even, I was surprised Derrick Lewis even took it, and I was surprised that you even picked Derrick Lewis in that one. I think you did.
I did.
Yeah, I don't know why. I still don't understand that one, but it's one of those where you know it just everyone has a brain fart. That was yours. It happens a
This
lot with you.
guy.
It's okay.
This guy.
But this is one. You know, I'm taking Almeida there because I think in the grapple before it goes to the ground, I think Almeida can do a lot of damage in the grappling, and I think that this could be one of those where it's going to be such a technically close fight that we may look at it like one side of the room thinks this way, the other side of the room thinks this way. I think this is going to be so close. But I have a feeling Almeida will sneak it out because the only reason I would never choose Blades is against someone like physically dominant, like a Pavlovich or a Ngannou or anything of that nature, or even and Derrick Lewis, even though I didn't pick Derrick Lewis in that fight. Um, you know, guys who just have this crazy knockout power, and I think that's Blade's kryptonite. But Almeida's a completely different cat, but I think this is his time, and I think this is such a close fight. This is I would be surprised if it isn't going to decision, and if it isn't split. I think Almeida wins via split.
Split decision. I hate hearing you announce your pick is for a split decision. I just got to say that that's a very strange thing to predict, to be honest. But I will say this: I think the biggest difference, in my opinion, which forced me to pick Blades, is I think Jailton Almeida is going to have a very hard time taking him down. There was times where even against Derrick Lewis, it didn't come as easy as we would have thought, right? Same time, though, I do think this being a 3-round fight does benefit Almeida. So it's really going to be a race for damage. And I'm just picking the guy that's a little more consistent with that route. Next up, we finally have hit the main card. And I think there's a real world where by the time we get here, you got that like amusement park fatigue. Like you've been screaming all day. You're already fucking hot. And now it's starting to get dark and you got to grab something to eat. Like I feel like that's around this time. And this is going to be the perfect thing to fucking give us the jolt that we need to continue on. We've got Piotr Yan minus 115 going up against Song Yadong minus 105. Sean, the bantamweights are back. They rule the fucking UFC and they rule this card. Who you got?
This is a really close fight. This is really close because I think it's so easy for people to discredit Jan and throw him to the wayside with becoming, you know, being a champion the way he was and then losing to Aljamain twice, then Marab. Honestly, this is such a good fight. And the thing is I would pick Song if I felt a more confident Song because there are fights with Song where I'm like, this guy's on top of the world. This dude's the future. I think this dude, you know, could be the goat of this division some days. But then there are fights where the Corey Sandhagen fight that kind of stood out to me. Like, okay, he's still like a good level below those top three guys of Sandhagen, what Jan was, the Marabs, you know, and obviously Aljamain's no longer here. But I think this is a closer fight than people think, but I also believe that Jan getting tested by losing to Aljamain, losing the championship in a fight he was clearly going to win. It's actually a 4-fight losing streak now that I'm thinking about it. Because and then I still believe to this day his rematch against Aljamain was very close, and I believe it could have been argued either way. It could have been him winning it. It could have been Aljamain. I was fine with what they decided. The Sean O'Malley fight, no. I still believe to this day Jan won that fight. I think Jan had won that fight. I thought it was 2-1 easy, even though I was very surprised with how much Sean O'Malley had pieced up Peter Yan. I think we all went into that fight thinking this is a very lopsided fight. I'm surprised that the UFC even threw this on the card. You had a guy who was like ranked 15 versus 1. I was surprised they even did it. And the fact, I still was like, I remember at the end of the night, I was applauding Sean because I was like, you know what? He'll probably go to like 10 after this because even though in the loss, he looked really well against the number one contender. And then they gave him the win, which was so surprising and I didn't think he won. The Merab fight, he lost easy. Like that could have been like 50-44, even 50-43. I've never seen a gas tank like that from Merab or anybody, and it just showed that was just a poor performance by Peter Yan. But at that rate, who's going to do much better? Merab that night could have put up a real fight against Aljamain, and that could have been a hell of a fight. So
I think he beats anyone in the world that night.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's the version we saw of him in his last fight either. So
exactly. So I think Peter's been given the shit end of the stick in almost every fight in his last 4 fights, and I think this is one where Song is up on the up and up, and he's an up and comer. He's got plenty of future ahead here, but I don't think Peter Yan's career, and I don't think he goes to 0-5 here. I think this is one of those where you finally can get Peter Yan back in the win column, and I honestly see a situation. I know this is going to sound really stupid to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because why the hell not? I could see a situation here that if Henry Cejudo could just shut his fucking mouth and stay away from Brandon Moreno and trying to like pick fighters against that are smaller than him, and I know all that history between them two, I could absolutely see a situation where if Peter Yan wins this fight, Peter Yan and him could have a scrap because Cejudo's been talking about Peter Yan for like 4 years in a row. And as soon as Yan loses, all of a sudden now he's like, Cejudo's now like in the same boat as Colby. They're just picking names to just start shit with. Now it's Brandon Moreno for Cejudo. Colby's going after Wonder Boy because why the fuck not? Oh, he's not that nice of a guy. I know I'm way off track here. I hate fighters like that. So I think this is a fight that sets up a beautiful Yan versus Cejudo, and I think people would want to see that. I think this could get Jan's winning streak back and could make him a weak contender and, sort of ride that train, back into fighting Merab for a championship maybe one day. And I think it starts here. And I'm not taking away from Song here. I think Song, his future is still set. He's still so young. I love this kid. This kid's going to be a star. But I think Peter Yan's career is not over yet. And I think this is Peter's to win. But I could be completely surprised and Song knocks him out in the first fucking 3 minutes. And then we really see the end of Peter Yan. So I could see anything, but I'm picking Yan.
Dude, this is such a dangerous, high-level fucking fight to be where they are in the rankings. It's crazy, man. This division is chef's kiss, the best in the UFC. I agree with everything you said, man. I want to feel the fucking Piotr Yan juice here. I want to feel it because, God damn it, he's one of my favorite fighters, and I've always made that very clear on this show, the things he's able to accomplish, the way he's able to keep range. I mean, you could even argue against Sean O'Malley that he won all 3 rounds, even though he did get split open and obviously hurt in the third. I personally scored it 29-28 for Yan. But then obviously, like you said, O'Malley got the gift of all gifts. But then you go and win the belt, right? It makes it look better, and especially with the way Yan has slid. But let's just look at, like you said, let's just look at who he's fighting in the context. It's important to consider. But Song Yadong is a monster too. Like both of these guys, you said RDA's on that list. Both of these guys are on that list for me, which is what makes this such a phenomenal fight. I kind of wish it was 5 rounds. I think we get a little bit better of an understanding of who's the better true fighter in this if it's 5 rounds. But ultimately, man, when I went back and forth watching some of the tape, I honestly was leaning towards Song Yadong. I felt like he is a little bit faster. He has a little more speed on that fastball at this stage of their careers. But at the same time, it's just the technical nuances that I noticed between Jan's straight shots and the way that Song Yadong advances. I feel like if he does a good job, once again, with the Michelle Pereira game plan of maintaining distance and knowing when to crash into range and force reactive shots out of Song Yadong in order to land some strikes on top of eventually mixing in your own takedowns from clinch positions. I think there's a lot of different ways this fight can be dangerous for both of these guys. But ultimately, I think the biggest thing that just always separates it for me whenever I'm picking Song Yadong fights is you're kind of hoping for the knockout or for him to end up in a dynamic situation on the ground where he has extended top control and he's landing strikes. And I just feel like in this matchup, it's going to be a lot harder for him to touch Jan consistently in a way that will lead to a finish. So give me pause. That was fucking crazy. Give me Peter Yan by decision. Next up. Holy shit, man. I feel like I need a fucking cigarette and it's not even gonna help me at this point. We got Gilbert Burns. Oh, and I forgot to mention in that last fight, I am an owner of Song Yadong. So I'm picking against two of my own fighters on this card. Let me let it be known. But just once again, it proves I'm trying to be as objective as I can when making these assessments. But next up, we've got Gilbert Burns going up against Jack Della Maddalena, the man that could smell the food truck from 2 blocks south. Holy shit, man. This is another big time matchup here. Can't wait. Can't wait for this welterweight fight. Like, this is probably one of, if not my most anticipated fight on the card. And I know that probably sounds like hyperbole or I'm over hyping shit up. I love me some 3-name Jack. And of course, I have him on my dynasty team, so I've got even more reason to root for him. And this is a very dangerous matchup for him. I think obviously Gilbert Burns has gotten touched up on the feet. We could call it like it is against his last couple of opponents. But we've also seen once he gets his grappling advantages going, he can definitely be a problem. And I think that's where the biggest danger lies for JDM. I like how active 3-name Jack is with his ground defense, but it gets him in bad positions because he's so urgent and eager to get out of certain situations. Aside the Hyder Emil fight, I hope that's how you say that. What is it? No, Basil Hafez. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I said Hyder Emil. That was so random of a pull. But that Basil, however you say it, Hafez, that fight. I hated seeing that reactive guillotine over and over and over again, kept getting him in shitty positions. And if he does that here, he will get finished by an arm triangle. Like, he will take that gladly and put you on your ass and just make his way towards that arm triangle. So Gilbert Burns' path to victory is very fucking easy to see here. I'm scared if this thing gets on the ground for sure. But you have to think you took that last fight as a lesson, right? I mean, I say this as we look forward to watching Dustin Poirier, fuck it, I'm gonna jump Gilly himself later on in this same fight card. You just gotta hope you learn the lesson, right? You gotta hope that you notice that that's a problem and sort of try to train it out of you, especially when you're fighting someone so dynamic in the grappling phases. But I think there's also a world where Gilbert is actually able to hurt him on the feet too, man. I think Gilbert's a marauder, and when he throws and commits, there's a lot of bad intentions behind those shots. And Jack Della is there to be hit. I mean, his nose looks the way it does for a reason. He wants to be in your face, so he's there in those exchanges. But I just think JDM is just going to be significantly faster and able to touch up Gilbert Burns and get an early finish. So give me 3-name Jack to make his way into the top 5. God damn it.
All right, I'm gonna go with the opposite. I'm going with Gilbert. I'm taking Gilbert here, and I think this is gonna be a moment for Gilbert, honestly, because Gilbert won last time he was in Miami, and I think he's gonna win again. I think To be honest with you, I think his biggest weakness, Gilbert Burns, is the goddamn jab. I don't know what it is with him, but every time there's a striker who's dominant in the jab, like JDM, like Kamaru Usman, like other fighters, he crumbles so quickly. And I think that the game plan here is to find a way to avoid the jab and take this to the grappling, take this to the takedowns, take this to the ground. And I could see an absolute situation where this is kind of like him versus Wonder Boy, whereas people won't like this sort of fight because of what it could have been. But I can absolutely see a situation where Gilbert takes this to the ground and is sort of the grappling and staying up close is going to be a little bit overwhelming for Jack. And I'm a big believer in Jack. I just, to be honest with you, that fight against Kevin Holland kind of opened my eyes more to thinking that Jack could be so invincible, if that makes any sense. Like I think Jack's on his way there, but I don't think Gilbert's time is necessarily over. I'm not saying it is even with the loss, but I think Gilbert is still a very high level, he wants to be a champion so bad. Like he cries in every loss. Like this is everything to him. He was so upset when he got hurt. He gets upset when he gets hurt. Like he really wants to be a champion so bad. And the fact that Kamaru is not the champion, like his window is right now. Like you could not have the biggest or bigger opportunity than this moment. So you beat Jack, probably have one more fight ahead of you, and you can probably get yourself a title shot here. He was one of the biggest hype names when it was supposed to be Gilbert versus Kamaru and that crazy 3 title fight picture, like whatever 3 or 4 years ago, before Masvidal made his name known and took that fight on short notice in Abu Dhabi. Gilbert's trying to recapture that, be the number one contender that people saw that he was, and he's a world class grappler, man. I think he's real deal. I'm not taking away from Jack. I think Jack is the next phase of this division. But I think Gilbert Burns, it's just kind of like the last fight where Song and Jack are this next regime. I think they just run into someone at this moment who people think, you know what, their time may be up, but I don't think their time is up. I still think they have one last hurrah, if so to speak, in them. And I think, to be honest with you, I think Burns makes this a boring fight. I know fans are gonna hate that, but I think this is more of a slow, kind of grapple game. Keep this close, stay away from the jab, focus on the legs, and I think Gilbert Burns wins this via points.
Holy shit, my dude made the case, and I'm starting to feel like you're just waiting, right, for me to go first, and then as soon as I'm going first, you're like, all right, I'll make the case, god damn it, just so we have some parity here. But damn, bro, I can't believe how good this fight card is. I'm here cheesing, and we still got 3 fights left. God damn it, we got Kevin Holland, another one of my dynasty fighters, my last one of the night. I've got in total before the draft 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total fighters on the card, while Sean has 3, and 2 of them are facing each other. So he's already sitting at a 1-1 record. But we've got my guy, Kevin Holland, the trailblazer himself, going up against MVP Michael Venom Page in his UFC debut, coming over from the site formerly known as Bellator. They are now PFLator, and we will see what comes of them in their future. But Bellator looked to be the more legit organization, right? Getting the majority of the wins in that head-to-head matchups, which I still don't really understand why PFL did that. Uh, didn't really put their best foot forward. But anyway, we're talking about this UFC 299 card. Sean, it's time. The welterweights are on the marquee. And I'm not going to lie, I'm surprised this fight got higher billing than the JDM Gilbert Burns fight. I wonder if that's just a tapology thing or that's how it's going to be the night of. But usually tapology is correct. So we'll see if the star power is worthy. But Sean, who you got in this welterweight matchup?
Hey, I think they did this because of the hype of MVP coming to the UFC. This is one of those like big moments because of the like incredible career he's had at Bellator. So I think this is, they did that whole like commercial thing for him, and I thought he was going to be like the first fight of the main card. right between Blades and Jan. But I understand why they're making this third. You want to hype this up. You kind of want to build this into what it could be. But this is tough. And honestly, I would pick Kevin Holland to win, and I probably still am. This is one of those fights where I'm going to say a bunch of shit, and then I'll convince myself in the last sentence. Because this is one of those, like, where MVP is 36, if I believe. Like, his prime to me could probably be on the other side now. Like, I don't know if he's still the same guy that he once was. This is one of those, I feel like, where it's an amazing fight to announce. It looks good on paper. It looks great. But if Kevin Holland fights the way he's been fighting, where he introduced grappling to his game for the first time, and he actually takes it seriously, and he wants to do well in the welterweight division, because I know he doesn't like to cut to welterweight, but like when he fights at welterweight and he takes it seriously, he's an incredible fighter. Like, he can really be one of a top 10 sort of fighter and really make a name for himself. It's just when he acts like a jackass, where that happens like every other fight, it seems, even though as of late he's been better, then you really don't know what you're getting. And this is one of those where I can absolutely see a situation where he might be a jackass, where he comes in, he's a big name in the UFC, he's big mouth. You got MVP coming in from Bellator. You got people who are more fans of Bellator who are kind of hoping Michael Page puts his lights out so people could talk. Like, this is one of those where it's kind of feels like it's a UFC versus Bellator sort of thing, where you got one of the biggest and best ever to do it at Bellator versus a guy who can be great or can be, an idiot at times, even though he's got so much level to his game. And I think, to be honest with you, if I had to choose based of what I've seen, and I've definitely seen more of Kevin Holland, to be honest with you, because I've been a fan of UFC before I was in Bellator, I think Kevin Holland should win this fight. If it goes on paper the way I think it could go, with the grappling and with his incredible striking, I think Michael Page might be a half a step, maybe even a full step slow for someone like Kevin Holland. I think Kevin Holland could keep that range and strike really well. I don't think this is going to go to the ground at all. I think this is going to be a lot of striking. And I think I can see a situation where Kevin Holland grapples, but I think he's one of those people, like we've seen it in so many fights, where he will literally get off the grappling and he will take his own chances, like he did against Wonder Boy, and just be like, let's just meet in the octagon, in the middle of the octagon. Let's just fight. Let's just give the fans what they want. And I know that's amazing and fans love that, and that's great. But
I fucking love that. Just gotta
yeah,
be
no, I love it too.
Amazing fucking fight.
Yeah, I love that too. I just, for me, that's what makes every time I pick Kevin Holland, or every time I don't, I never know. Like, I never know what I'm choosing, because I don't know which Kevin Holland shows up that night. So I'm picking Kevin Holland, but at the same time, 100,000%, I can see Michael Page coming in there. Kevin Holland saying, let's meet in the middle. Let's just scrap it out. Michael Page lands some crazy knee, and we're talking about a completely different fighter, and all Michael Page is, is the future of the UFC. He's going to give one more fucking run at a title. Who the hell knows? But to be completely honest with you, I could see one of those where Kevin Holland kind of slows down this little hype train of Michael Page, and I think Kevin Holland wins it, but who the hell knows?
Whew. God damn, you took away a lot of the points that I wanted to make. God damn it, you went all over the board on the analysis, which you love to see. I like the pick. Obviously, he's on my dynasty team. I think the biggest advantage he has is this is a 3-round fight, and he had this fight already in a 5-round version against, in my opinion, the superior of the two when it comes to this style, in Wonderboy Thompson. So obviously he came up short in that one. But I agree with what you said. I think that his demeanor is going to tell us so much in this fight. And I think this is one of those fights that is a perfect spot to live bet. If you see early on in round one, we're fucking slapping dicks and fucking giving each other high fives, 100%, I'm not going to be interested in having a Kevin Holland pick if that's what I see, because Michael Page is just lethal at setting guys up by literally lulling them to sleep. a lot of the times with boring movement, which against someone like Kevin Holland, I think isn't going to be an issue. I think Holland is so active, where he's able to get in between those ranges very quick, which can also be dangerous against someone like Michael Venom Page. So I agree with what you said though, as far as him being a step slow. I think I kind of felt that way already. So I was really intrigued when he decided to come to the UFC, because honestly, I probably had it as like the third option as far as being able to make the best money for what you're gonna be able to do at this stage of your career. But the dude made the jump, and I respect him for it 100%. But I do think this is a tough matchup, especially if Kevin Holland comes to fight MMA and not fight kickboxing. I think in a pure kickboxing fight, though, he does have a lot of advantages too, because I think Michael Venom Page isn't quite as dangerous as Wonder Boy is with his hands. Um, I think it's more attritive damage with someone like Michael Page versus being able to really stun you with straight shots. Um, I think if it becomes an extended kickboxing match and Kevin Holland shows up the way he usually does, at some point he's gonna land a looping shot that's gonna hurt MVP. So I'm really confident in picking Kevin Holland here. And as I say that, I smile just because I know, like you said, the wrong version of this guy shows up, and we're just gonna be fucking pulling our hair out. So give me Kevin Holland, but I don't like it. It's gonna be exciting. I'll tell you that, because it feels like someone's bound to get knocked out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, you just don't know which Kevin Holland's showing up. And to backpack of what you just said too with MVP, I didn't think Michael Page was gonna choose UFC when he was doing that whole announcement thing between him and UFC and PFL. I really thought he was gonna just choose PFL because I felt PFL was like the lower range of Bellator, like a little bit lower. Bellator had been established for such a long time. PFL, when you're new, you kind of get like the other fighters, like the last lower level of fighters. So I thought he was going to try to make his like a title contention reign in PFL. But the fact that he chose UFC, like that's takes a lot of balls, especially at 36 years old, to do something like that. But like I said, I can absolutely see MVP putting on like a fucking crazy spinning fucking back knee kick. I don't even fucking know. He'll create something new. I could see that happening. But I can also see a situation where Kevin Holland does that. And it's like they're both going to be sitting at the Octagon giving the fans what they want to see. And I don't know how much of technique and skill is going to play a part in it.
Couldn't agree with you more, man. It really comes down to that dog, and we're gonna find out who has it. But next up, we get to move on to the All Sean Bowl. God damn it! We got Benoit Saint-Denis minus 230 against going up against Dustin Poirier, the original first round pick. Did you know that the first man that you ever chose first overall is Dustin Poirier, and he got fucking sent to the land of wind and ghosts with a head kick? I feel like I blame you. But with all that being said, I get the pleasure of breaking down this 5 round co-main event. Thank you for listing that for the people, because I think that's very important to note. I'm really fucking pumped for this fight, man. I am really excited because obviously all the rage around Saint Denis. The dude is a tank at 155 and just an all rounded, as Joe Rogan loves to say, a killer. Someone that will kill you quite literally. I fucking hate that narrative so much. It's so fucking stupid. But yes, he is someone that was once in the French Special Forces. I say it because, God damn it, brace yourself. You're going to hear it 1,000 times on the fucking broadcast. But Saint Denis is deserving of this hype. This dude's really powerful on the feet, able to land a fucking head kick against Matt Frivola, something that I didn't see happening, honestly, ever. And then also able to complement that with a very strong, top control heavy grappling game and really good takedowns to boot. Like, this guy is solid everywhere and just an absolute tank, shown that he can really go through hell if he needs to. And later on, as we've seen, really developing into a fighter that doesn't have to lean on that anymore. Just not many negative things you could say about him. And he's going up against someone who obviously deserves nothing but the highest of praise when it comes to fight fandom in general. If you hate Dustin Poirier, in my opinion, I'm side eyeing you. There's something wrong with you. There's something that I don't like about you and your fandom, because this man has given more than most to this sport, and what he's been able to accomplish at the highest level is remarkable. In all honesty, one of the best southpaws to ever grace the octagon, and really uh better person. So okay, wish the best for my guy Dustin Poirier. This is a tough fucking fight, and the fact that it's 5 rounds, I think leans things towards my guy from Louisiana. I think earlier on in this fight, we might even see a situation where Poirier needs a finish and he's like down 3 rounds. But I just feel like he is the more battle tested fighter here. I think Benoit Saint-Denis' grappling upside really makes this a tough fight for Poirier. I feel like he can get him into bad positions on the ground and hunt submissions, particularly that rear naked choke, which worries me against Poirier specifically. We've seen him get taken out by that many times at this point. But I just feel too confident in Dustin Poirier's size at this division. While I mentioned BSD is huge, I think Poirier is still one of the biggest lightweights in the UFC, and I think he's going to be able to keep things standing on the feet. And I think he's just a little bit more technical and a little bit more crafty. I think obviously it's going to come down, no matter what, in a fight like this, to who can survive the other guy's offense. This is going to be a back and forth fight. There's no way, in my opinion, that this ends up being a one-sided fight. Um, I think Dustin Poirier really has a lot to prove in this matchup, and he's definitely gotta be the best version of himself to be able to even compete here. So I know I'm confidently picking a dog, but I just feel like, despite coming off of a terrible loss, I think Benoit Saint-Denis still hasn't faced nowhere near this level of competition yet in the UFC, and especially because it's in a 5 round fight. It might take a couple eye pokes. It might take spilling some blood into somebody's eye. But I think Poirier starts finding a way to win late and ends up getting a finish in the 4th round by knockout.
Man, I could not agree with you more. I'm picking Dustin here, and every part of me wants to pick BSD, and there's an absolute shot that BSD just overwhelms Dustin and can get a crazy finish within the first or second round. But I find a situation where if Dustin can just get this to the third or fourth round, then you're in Dustin's world now, because Dustin has been doing this how long now? Like, he's been UFC, what, 90 something, UFC 100. I don't even remember which one is his first one, but he's been around forever. Um, he used to be one of my absolute favorite fighters to ever watch. He's still so dynamic. I know Benoit is so strong. He's a big guy up top, but the thing is with me, I always feel it's about who you face. I say this every single fucking episode, at least 15 times. But as much as I love that win, but for BSD against Matt Frevola, great win, amazing. Matt Frevola is not Dustin Poirier in any sense of the word. So I think this is Poirier's fight to lose. But the one thing that bothers me with this whole fight is this constant retirement talk that's been going on throughout this entire media coverage of, oh, if he loses this is probably it. But he's been saying this for a while. I don't know how many fights I have left. I'm just doing this. This could now he's saying this could possibly be my last one. I'm 35 years old. I'm losing something every time I go out there. So I thought when this fight was booked, I thought this fight was only made because Dustin's already fought the entire division 18 times over and he needs a new face. So I think this was a major jump for BSD. When he called him out after beating Matt Frevola, at that moment, I was like, that kind of doesn't make any sense. But then I thought about it, and I was like, well, Dustin just lost to Justin. So this kind of makes sense now. Like, you have to make this fight. These two, it's the only guy Dustin hasn't fought in forever. So I still think Dustin like I said about Song Yadong, like I said, and Peter Yan, like I say about, Madalena and Gilbert Burns, this is one of those where you got the old school with the new school. And this is one where for the third time in a row, I know I'm going to be wrong on one of them, but for the third time in a row, I'm picking the old school. I still believe that Poirier has one final dance left in him. I'm not sure if he'll ever get a title fight again. I don't think he deserves one, but I still think beating someone like Benoit is more than doable for him. I don't think there's a single person out there, not one person out there, who could have predicted Justin Gaethje head kick over Dustin Poirier. I don't think anyone saw that in the cards. I don't even think Gaethje saw it in the cards until he landed it that first time in the first round. It was like, that's weird. That kind of worked. Like, let me do it again. And I didn't think Dustin even once practiced that in the game plan, in training or anything, because you just never see something like that. So I thought in that fight, Dustin was going to beat Justin. It didn't work out that way. Obviously, I have the worst luck in the world. So I do think, though, that this is Dustin's fight. I think he wins it. And it doesn't take anything away from BSD. I think this is one where it's a major jump, in lightweight contention. And if he wins this, you're almost looking at him maybe one more fight until he gets a title shot. I think he's still got to slowly climb. I think Dustin's a tough opponent, but I think, BSD should get at least two more opponents before he gets, a title shot, whoever that champion might be down the line, most likely Islam. But I think this is still Dustin's fight. I think this is, I don't know if Dustin will fight again after this. And to be honest with you, I don't really know who he can fight after this. I know this is not. He's fought Gaethje twice. He's fought Conor twice. You might fight Charles twice. If Charles wins at UFC 300, they might do that again for like a number one contender fight. But after Gaethje already gets a shot, I feel like with the lightweight division, we've got these three fighters with Oliveira, Gaethje, and Dustin just kind of sitting there, and they've been sitting there for so long that it's just like you almost want them to lose to kind of get them out of there. You want these new dogs to come in. And so every part of me wants BSD to win this fight, to get a new face and new air into this division, because I feel like it's been so stuck. But I just think at this current moment, Dustin still got one final dog in him left in the tank, and I think he gets it done.
Dude, I find it so phenomenal that both you and I, at one point in this show, came in hot with our big underdog of the fucking card, and the other one's like, "Yeah, I agree, 100%." That's who I always was gonna pick. Yeah, I love that we're both on the same side of this one, and I won't be surprised if we see Benoit Saint-Denis win at all. I think he's a great fighter, like you said. But for all those reasons, man, we got to ride with the fucking junkyard dog, the man that should never be counted out ever. The fucking diamond, because pressure makes diamonds. God damn it! Holy shit, we've got a main event after all this. After all this, we've got a main event for the bantamweight title, a division that was showcased all throughout the night. We've got Sean O'Malley, Sean's favorite Sean champ that ever happened, minus 200. No, sorry, minus 280, going up against Marlon Chito Vera at plus 230. Sean, you get to take the lead on the Sean Bowl. God damn it. How you feeling about the bantamweight title fight?
Sean O'Malley. And this fight is only happening because of the fact of the little rivalry that they have between each other, and that little questionable fight that obviously Chito won. And, all the Sean Sugar fans have loved to say, oh, well, he was hurt, he was injured, but whatever. He got drop foot, he lost. It's unfortunate, but you lost. And it's a fight that they had to throw in there. And I think they also threw it in there to be completely 100% honest, as brutal as it's going to be. I don't think Sean's a long-term champion. I just don't think it. I think Corey could beat him today. I think Merab would beat him. I think if Aljamain fought him again, he could have beaten him. I think even Henry Cejudo, if he gets a win, he might have a chance against him. I like Sean. His striking is top-notch, incredible. But 3 fights ago, this dude was wearing shirts saying he was the unranked champion. He was determined to beat every unranked guy, no demand. And then that fight against Peter Yan, like I said before, I still believe to this day Peter Yan won that fight. Then to beat Aljamain the way he did, incredible performance. I never thought that would happen. I really thought Aljamain was going to out wrestle him to death and just absolutely just make it a boring fight, but just show Sean there was levels to this. Jumping from 15 to 1, there were levels, but he did the impossible. So I think also, but this fight is made for a absolute crazy performance for Sean to hype up as the new face of the UFC, like he's becoming. He's wearing the pink shorts. The fact that UFC already has made that a thing. He's going to Miami. He's already becoming this huge household name. Everyone knows who he is. It's perfect. You got this crazy rematch against Chito, and that's probably the one guy I would have absolutely predicted Sean to beat every time. Even if this wasn't a championship fight, I would pick Sean O'Malley to pick Chito every time. There's just something with Chito where he just doesn't want to fight until like 2 minutes left in the third round, and then he just decides like, oh yeah, we're fighting. I forgot. We've been doing this for 13 minutes, and then all of a sudden he starts to put some pressure because in that Sandhagen fight for Chito, I don't even think he deserved to win that one round. I think the judges were just so desperate to give him one, or the fans were, that they just kind of like gave him the 46. Like, yeah, you can have that third round. Just take it. Like, you didn't look good. And that's the thing with Chito. He starts so late on fights. And I think that's what gets him into so much trouble. And I think Sean's going to be a little technical and try to feel him out. But I think, once he pieces up Chito at least once, it's going to be a different story. And then all of a sudden, I think Sean will gain confidence. I don't see this one going to the end. I see someone getting knocked out or submitted. But I really do believe that Sean O'Malley will win this one in pretty dominant fashion. Either, fourth round KO, third round KO, or TKO. I just see this one being a hype train for Sean O'Malley to build this up, because I have a feeling this is going to be a big, big crashing down site when Marab comes in with that crazy gas tank and just takes Sean down and never lets him breathe again. And we're talking a completely different style fight, because this is like a tune-up, and I'm not going to say a tune-up fight because Cheeto's is a top-notch, bantamweight. I'm not taking that away from him. But I do think there's no reason you should have been given this fight. This is one of those fights you only make because of the hype that brings Sean O'Malley in this fight. It should have been Corey. It should have been, Marab years ago. But this is one of those where you make this fight for Sean in Miami, pink shorts, hype this shit up as crazy as possible. You can make like UFC 305 you want with him on the cover. But after that, it goes downhill from here. And so I'm picking Sean O'Malley via knockout.
This fucking guy is just on fire tonight. God damn it. Man, I want to disagree with you here. Like, nothing feels better to me than a Marlon Chito Vera championship run. Like, I feel like if he somehow becomes champ here, whatever you do, make Sandhagen fight Umar. Like, if he becomes the champ, let's not do this rematch shit. As much as I want to see Corey Sandhagen as the champ at 135, if Chito becomes champ, bro, I need a Chito title reign, bro. I need give him a favorable matchup like this one. God damn it. I think it makes sense to favor O'Malley here for all the reasons you said. I think the biggest reason why I lean towards O'Malley is because how he has really, what is the proper word for this? Built out his frame at 135, gotten much more muscular, much more athletic for the weight class, and much more durable by doing that. Earlier on in his career, felt like every single one of his fights, this man was injuring his legs in some capacity as the fight was going on. And that's what made it hard for me to buy into the hype in the early part of his career. I always knew he was going to be a star, even if he sucked. And the fact that he was winning helped, of course, but his durability early on really looked like his biggest flaw. And I think Chito can exploit that here. That is his path to victory. Once again, hunting those legs, hunting the body, putting himself in a position to be attritive. But like you said, if you have a hard time revving the fucking engine, and your path to victory is being attritive, like how do you force someone to get tired if you're not willing to engage and you're not willing to put someone on the back foot? If we get the best version of Chito Vera, I think he wins this fight easy. Like I'm not even joking, easy. If he can come forward and be that round 3 Chito that we've seen from him, and I hope it comes out, right? You would think against someone that you already knocked out in a significant way with that ground and pound, and you've seen is delusional. You've seen has talked about how no, the Sugar Commission already overturned that one and all this rhetoric about their first fight. You got to think he has every reason to be not only as motivated as ever, but also as prepared to do what's called for this win. Like if you can't start the fucking engine in this fight, and this is gonna sound hyperbolic, I think he should retire. If you can't force yourself to go in this scenario, the one scenario you've been waiting for your whole career, then it's much more than just a mental tick at this point. There's clearly something that's just holding you back. Let it all out there and you might win a fucking title. And I genuinely feel that. But I think Sean O'Malley is just a better fighter at this point of both these guys' careers. I think if he can win this fight just outpointing Chito Vera. He doesn't even really have to put himself in a position to get leg kicked. He can just constantly be on his bike, land pop shots, and win a decision that way. Especially with the way Chito Vera is known to fight. So yeah, this is really hard for me. Obviously, I'm torn. I think they can make him a big star with the following he already has in Colombia. I think he's a much bigger star than people realize here domestically. But yeah, I mean, this dude was in Pepsi commercials and things like that over there. So, um, want to pick Cheeto with the heart pick, but Sean O'Malley should be able to get this one done. And honestly, we might live in a world where we talked all the shit, we've seen all of this, and then this is just the beginning of a multiple title defense reign from Sean O'Malley. Uh, at some point, we got to stop doubting the man. God damn it! So I agree with you. I'm picking him here.
This division's just too good that it's like
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it's him at the top of the reign, because there's so many guys that are here now, and there's so many guys that are coming up in this division that it's almost like anyone could be champion at any time in this division. So it's just like to see Sean O'Malley at the very top of it is a little surprising for me. If he's the champion by the end of the year, I'd be surprised. But I can absolutely see him winning this fight. But seeing him win against someone like Merab, where even though Merab can be tested, obviously we saw him get dropped by Cejudo and stuff, and like he's not invincible. I just see a situation where it could be completely, who knows? It's a totally different training camp. So, I guess we'll see how he does against Chito. If he dominates Chito, then maybe we think differently. So I think this fight will definitely answer a lot of questions. Obviously put this rivalry to bed, and I look forward to it.
Heck yeah, man. But that's our main event. So it only means it's time for our favorite point of the show. God damn it. We need a drum line. We need something because it's dynasty time, baby. And of course, as we always continue to alternate back and forth, Sean gets the pleasure of picking first for the stacked UFC 299 card. So, Sean, whenever you're ready, the commish has thrown you the mic. You are ready to make your pick.
I didn't realize I was first. That's painful. All right.
I took a while explaining it. I don't know if you noticed. I don't.
Nah, yeah, you might. Here's the thing. I don't go into this with real set answers. I just go into this and how I feel in the moment. All right.
That
And
explains
I
a lot.
believe. All right. Why don't you calm down? I'm right behind you. All right.
Yeah, eight losses behind me. Yeah.
Yeah. You keep telling yourself that. All right. Let me do this quickly. If I'm gonna choose, you know what? I'm gonna believe in the hype train. Give me O'Malley first.
Wow, look at that.
I didn't want to, but
After
why
all the
not?
shit you
I
were
believe in
talking.
the UFC.
After all the shit you were talking. Okay, Sean goes with Sean. You love to see it.
Of
So let
course.
me quickly highlight his name so I know who not to pick.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, I think Yeah, man, it's pretty easy the way I go here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going
I know you're going Curtis.
Curtis, and then I'm going the only acceptable pick, Peter Yan,
Ooh, I like that one.
which unfortunately forces two splits for myself. So I'm already 2-2, and the night hasn't even started yet. And you are 1-1. So go ahead and make your final pick.
All right, so you took Jan and Blades, which means for me, I have two choices. Do I go with the hype or do I go with my pick?
Hmm.
Now you got me. You got me thinking here. Do I believe in my own word or do I not believe? All right. To believe in the hype of what the UFC, I'm going to go with I believe in the UFC. I
Okay.
believe in the UFC. For this card only, I believe in the UFC. I believe in Sean O'Malley and I believe in Robellis. I'm going to
Wow.
believe that the UFC is going to hype these two up for as long as they possibly can, and I could get some wins out of these two. Because
Okay.
I have a feeling that for me, I'm going to lose Dustin probably via retirement in about a fight or two. Benoit and Gamrot are kind of the future. I could take that. But I'll believe in O'Malley because I think they'll give, even if O'Malley loses the championship fight, I think they'll give him fights to win to get him back because he's such a household name. He'll always get a main event now, basically. And someone like Robellis will always get someone he can knock out in the first round for at least the next 3 to 4 fights.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm doing it.
All right. Now, are you ready for my trade proposal? Because I thought of
Here
it
we go.
as we spoke, and I think this is one that you legitimately might be willing to consider. Are you
All right,
ready?
what do you got? Just
All
say
right.
it.
So I have my eyes on Robellis. All right. I'm just saying that straight off the gate. And I think I'm going to come with a proper proposal. But before I can do that, I need to premise this by saying not only am I going to be getting Robellis in this trade, but I also am going to be getting Benoit Saint-Denis in this trade because I'm going to be offering you Ian Machado Gary as well as Jailton Almeida. Heavyweight for
That's a good
heavyweight,
one.
welterweight,
That's a good one. That is a good. That's a good one. Gary and Almeida versus for BSD and Robellis. Will this take place after or before?
Before.
So I would only have just Dustin and Gamrot and O'Malley for
And
this
O'Malley.
upcoming card.
Yes, and O'Malley.
I feel like that kind of works in your favor because you are doing this afterwards for you, before for me. But all right.
What do you mean afterwards? For what? The fights take place at the same time for us, brother. What the fuck you talking about?
Oh, and I'd get Almeida. Okay.
Oh yeah, Almeida. Kind of forgot about that.
Give me 10 seconds to think about this. You can count.
I already was actually counting, and you officially have 5 seconds left. So
Fine. Just to make this interesting, let's do it.
wow, I might fucking regret this like very very soon. To be honest,
I will
very
do
very
this.
soon. But okay, a trade has been made. So let me
Announce the trade.
Put
this on the big board.
Put it on the fucking ticker, okay? We've got on the 2024 tab, my guy traded for Ian Gary traded with Ian Gary. No, wait. Time out. Traded with BSD for Ian Gary and Jailton Almeida. This is one hell of a trade. I'm glad that we were able to get this done because honestly, Ian Gary's about to age like fucking rotten milk with this vegan diet and just plummet off the face of the earth. And I have two of the best heavyweights in the future and now with Curtis Blades and Robellis. So I am fucking pumped. This is amazing. And I get a little BSD on the side, like just a little just a little BSD on the side.
Mm-hmm. I like it. It makes it more interesting because Machado Gary is another hype train that they're definitely trying to build up. And Almeida is the future, I believe, of the heavyweight division.
Yep. So
this is nice.
I need to figure out how I'm going to write this into the Dynasty page because it needs to be a part of history. You know what I'm saying? There's only been one other trade, and we didn't write that one up, so we got to write this one up. But God damn it, it's a fitting way to end off a stacked card. This was so fun for me, man. It's been amazing once again having you back and being able to do this again because we almost went 2 hours strong on probably the best card we might get all year, man. Probably. But I got high hopes for 300 too, man. I think that fight card is going to be amazing too. So we'll see how the fights play out.
This guy was up my ass because I didn't like the card. Unbelievable.
No, because the stuff you were saying was fucking ridiculous. I still think top to bottom 300 is better than this card. But if this card delivers, I feel like it can deliver better. But we shall see. Because I could also see a lot of these fights going to decision, and the fact that we picked a lot of the same people says a lot, in my opinion. But time will tell whether or not we look like absolute fucking idiots. It was great being able to work out a trade. Changes a lot of things as far as what we're looking at next week, so I'll update everything in Dynasty accordingly. But just like that, ladies and gentlemen, 299 is wrapped up. Sean, do you have anything to say to the people before we get out of here? Anything else you want to plug? Any of your other endeavors?
No plugs for me. I just want to say that Brad Moreno won that fight, and I feel bad for Volkanovski because long titled reign, and I hope he gets a rematch because he deserves it for everything he's done for the UFC. And I would like to see that fight, even though Ilya is fucking incredible. That's really it. And congrats to Rosenstrike. He fucking dominated once again, even though I thought he was washed. And that hurt me. That was a double L for my Dynasty and for picks. But besides that, everything was really good. Glad Cejudo lost. Glad Merab won. Ian's the man. Glad I now have him because he beat Jeff Neal. I don't care what anybody says. And besides that, it's good. I covered everything I wanted to say.
Yeah, it sucked that we missed 298. That was awesome. Awesome fucking card all around. And maybe one day we'll get to talk and reminisce on what a fucking performance that was from Ilia Topuria. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, just remember when it comes time for 299 that you put the fucking pink shorts on. We'll see you next time. Peace.